Hey, welcome. So, today we're going to talk about something a lot of people deal with but don't really talk about: how to retrain your brain when it seems to get stuck on one particular track. It's all about learning how to gently guide your own focus, and we've got a super clear roadmap to help you do just that. Does this sound familiar? You're just trying to live your life, have a normal conversation, and suddenly your brain starts directing a romance scene. Where two people just standing near each other are obviously soulmates destined for a dramatic love story. If that's you, you're definitely not alone. It just means your brain is doing what brains do. It's chasing a little chemical reward called dopamine. So here's the game plan. First, we'll get into why your brain does this. We'll think of it as a recommendation engine. Then we're diving into the practical stuff: how to stop feeding that engine, how to shift your focus when you need to, how to find other sources of that dopamine reward, and really importantly, how to change your whole perspective on thoughts. And we'll wrap it all up by seeing how this puts you right back in the driver's seat. All right, let's start with the why. Because honestly, to get a handle on your focus, you first have to understand the system that's running in the background. Okay, think of your brain's attention like your social media feed. It's a perfect metaphor, right? The more you interact with a certain kind of post, by watching it, commenting, or even just pausing on it, the algorithm goes, "Oh, you like this. Let me serve you up a ton more of it." Your brain works the exact same way. Every time you dwell on a thought, you're essentially clicking on it, training your own personal algorithm to show you more of the same. And this whole thing has a name in psychology. It's called conditioning. The most important thing to get here is that this is not a personal flaw. It's not a moral failing. It's just biology. Your brain is wired to connect certain things with a dopamine hit, and then it gets really, really good at looking for those things again. So the main takeaway? This is a pattern. And the good news is patterns can be retrained. So that's the why. Now we get to the how. Our first big strategy is simple: stop feeding the algorithm. If your brain is running on an algorithm, the most direct way to change what it shows you is to change what you feed it. It's time to become the curator of your own mental playlist. So what does that actually look like? Well, it's about consciously trimming the cues. This could mean cutting back a bit on super sexualized TV shows or music or whatever media you consume. Look, the goal isn't to live in some sterile bubble, but just to give your brain a little less of that one specific type of input. And over time, your brain's algorithm just stops expecting to find those reward cues in every little interaction. Okay, so you're changing the inputs. Great. But what happens when one of those intrusive thoughts just pops up anyway? Because it will. This next strategy is all about how you react in that exact moment. And the key isn't to fight it, it's to shift. Have you ever heard of this? It's called ironic process theory. Here's the classic example. Try it with me right now. For the next 5 seconds, do not think about a pink elephant. Whatever you do, no pink elephants. So, what are you thinking about? Yeah, a pink elephant. Pushing a thought away aggressively just gives it more power and puts it on a giant spotlight in your mind. So instead of fighting, try this super simple 3-step move. 1, just notice the thought. No freaking out, no judging yourself. 2, just let it float by. Imagine it's a cloud passing in the sky. You don't have to grab onto it. And 3, gently move your focus to something else. Anything else. Your work, the actual conversation you're in, the feeling of your feet on the floor. It's like if your car drifts a little, you don't yank the wheel, you just gently steer it back onto the road. All right, next step, diversifying your dopamine. You see, sometimes the brain gets stuck in a thought loop because it's just the easiest, most reliable source of that dopamine hit. If your brain only sees one road to feeling good, guess what? It's going to take that road again and again and again. The solution? We got to build more roads. Think about your life like an RPG. If you've put all your skill points into just one ability, that's the only move you're ever going to use. But what if you started unlocking new skill trees? By putting real time and energy into creative hobbies, exercise, learning something new, you give your brain a whole menu of rewarding things to do. And suddenly, those intrusive thoughts just aren't as shiny or appealing, because now they have to compete with other, way more fulfilling sources of satisfaction. This next one is a really powerful mental shift. It's all about changing how you see other people, moving from a really narrow focus on just one aspect of them to, well, seeing the whole person. So our brains are kind of lazy sometimes, and they take this shortcut called objectification bias, where they reduce a whole complex person down to just one thing. The antidote to that? It's empathy. When you consciously remind yourself that every single person you see has a crazy, complicated life story, their own hopes, their own anxieties, their own embarrassing moments, you literally activate different parts of your brain. Empathy pulls you out of that narrow focus and forces you to see the complete human being in front of you. This brings us to a really crucial point. It builds on that idea of shifting your focus, but it's less about an action you take and more about a fundamental change in your relationship with your own mind. And here's the key insight. Having a thought, any thought at all, does not make you a bad person. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. Thoughts are just mental events. They're like weather passing through your mind. And the more you can just treat them like that, allowing them to show up and then drift away without a big panicked reaction, the less power they have over you. Your brain eventually learns, oh, okay, this thought isn't actually a big deal, and it just stops serving it up so often. So, after all of this, what's the big takeaway? It's really a message of empowerment. You are not just a passenger. You're not at the mercy of your brain's automatic programming. Please, remember this. Your brain is just doing what it was built to do. It chases rewards. That's not a flaw, it's just biology. But your attention, where you choose to put your focus, what you decide to click on, that is a skill. And just like playing the guitar or learning to cook, it's a skill that you can train and get better at with practice. By changing your inputs, shifting how you react, and finding new rewards, you are actively training that skill. So the final question isn't about what you're trying to get away from. It's about what you're building. What amazing, meaningful,